In 1966, the United States military built one of its largest bases in South Vietnam. Thousands of American soldiers lived inside the heavily fortified compound. Tanks guarded the perimeter. Watchtowers scanned the jungle day and night. Helicopters constantly arrived and departed. And artillery units were always ready. From the surface, the base appeared completely secure. But something strange began happening. Almost every night, explosions suddenly erupted inside the base. Gunfire followed. Soldiers rushed to defensive positions as confusion spread through the camp. Then, just as suddenly as it began, everything went silent when troops arrived at the scene. The attackers had vanished. There were no footprints, no escape routes, no visible enemy. Only damaged equipment, wounded soldiers, and confusion. Patrols searched the surrounding jungle for weeks. Commanders ordered sweeps through nearby villages and forests, but they found nothing. It was as if the enemy appeared from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. Then one day, a patrol noticed something unusual near the base perimeter. Hidden beneath leaves was a small hole in the ground. Engineers examined it and shone a flashlight inside. The opening led to a narrow passage that dropped sharply underground before twisting into darkness. What they discovered next shocked everyone. Beneath the jungle floor was a massive underground network, more than 250 kilometers of tunnels, stretching across the region. This hidden system would become one of the most remarkable defensive strategies used during the Vietnam War. How the tunnels were built. The tunnel network did not begin during the American phase of the war. Its origins dated back to the 1940s, when Vietnamese fighters resisted French colonial forces. At first, villagers dug simple underground shelters to survive bombing raids. Over time, these shelters expanded and connected with one another, forming a complex underground system. The soil in the Kukai region made this possible. It consisted of a type of red clay called laterite. When dry, this soil became extremely strong and stable, allowing tunnels to remain intact without collapsing. The construction tools were simple. Workers used short-handled hoes, woven baskets, and their own hands. Most digging took place at night to avoid detection. The soil removed from the tunnels was carefully scattered across fields so that aircraft flying overhead would not notice piles of fresh dirt. Every tunnel entrance was carefully concealed. Some were hidden beneath trapdoors covered with leaves and grass. Others were disguised within termite mounds or hidden underwater in ponds. Many entrances were intentionally made very small, just wide enough for a local fighter to squeeze through. The larger American soldiers were in full combat gear. Entering these tunnels was extremely difficult. A city beneath the ground. As the system expanded, the tunnels became much more than simple shelters. They developed into a complete underground community. Inside the tunnels were living quarters where fighters and civilians could rest. There were underground hospitals where doctors treated wounded soldiers by candlelight. Hidden kitchens allowed food to be cooked while special ventilation systems carried smoke through long passages before releasing it far from the entrances. Weapons workshops were also built underground, where captured ammunition could be repaired or reused, freshwater wells, storage rooms, and meeting areas were added as the system grew. At its peak, thousands of people lived inside the tunnels at the same time. Some were even born there, above ground. American soldiers walked through the jungle completely unaware that an entire underground world existed beneath their feet. Attempts to destroy the tunnels once the United States military discovered the tunnel system. They attempted several strategies to destroy it. The first approach was heavy bombing. Aircraft dropped enormous quantities of explosives across the region in an attempt to collapse the underground passages. The jungle above was devastated, leaving massive craters across the landscape, but many sections of the tunnels were built deep, enough to survive the blasts. When the bombing stopped, fighters simply returned to the upper levels and continued using the tunnels. Another attempt involved chemical defoliants such as Agent Orange, which stripped leaves from trees and eliminated jungle cover. Although the forests above ground were badly damaged, the tunnels themselves remained unaffected. Engineers also tried flooding the tunnels with water. However, the builders had prepared for this possibility. Sections of the network could be sealed using hidden doors. If one area flooded, people simply moved to another section. Even specially trained dogs used to detect tunnel. Entrances struggled to locate them, despite years of effort. Destroying the network proved extremely difficult. The tunnel rats. Eventually, the United States Army adopted a new strategy. Instead of destroying the tunnels from above, soldiers would enter them small. Agile soldiers volunteered for this dangerous role. They became known as tunnel rats, armed with little more than a pistol and a flashlight. These soldiers crawled through the narrow tunnels to search for enemies and gather intelligence. Inside, they faced extreme danger. The tunnels contained hidden traps, sudden dead ends, and enemy fighters who knew every passage by memory. Encounters often occurred in near-total darkness and at extremely close range for many soldiers. The psychological stress of operating inside the tunnels was just as intense as the physical. Danger, a lasting legacy. Despite the enormous military resources used against them, the tunnel network remained active throughout much of the war, when American forces withdrew from Vietnam in 1975. Large sections of the system were still intact today. The Cook Height tunnels remain one of the most famous examples of underground warfare in modern history. They demonstrate how determination, ingenuity, and local knowledge can challenge even the most powerful military forces deep beneath the soil of Vietnam. A hidden battlefield once existed, one that changed the course of the war and left a lasting mark on history.